It's a gospel on the radio talk show. A show about dreams and visions and a church that is indeed triumphant, alive, and well.
For the church triumphant is alive and well.
Hello, Tallahassee. This is the Gospel on the Radio talk show. I'm Pastor Jack King. I am your host, and well, this is always a fun time for me on Sunday mornings to be here with you here on 94.1. I say this is a show about dreams and visions and a church triumphant, alive and well. We have a few rules. We don't talk sports, politics, or doctrine, but we do always speak one of one another, and that seems to have worked out real well now. 1,193 shows today.
Wow.
And, that reminds me, if you are in Christian ministry of some capacity, why don't you give me a call and I'll get you on the show. People ask me all the time, well, Pastor King, what are we going to talk about? I said, we're going to talk about your passion. Whatever your passion is, that's what we're going to talk about. And today, I have Sister Barbara Hengstebeck.
Got it.
No, that's not right.
It is right. It was right. Yeah.
And she is the leader of a very unique group of people that I had the opportunity to see and observe. And I said, hey, you need to come on the radio show and tell us all about this. It is called the Tallahassee Uke Jammers.
You got it.
It's ukuleles.
Tallahassee, it's a ukulele band. It's a ukulele group.
Now, this is what I did.
Okay.
Because I said, ukulele. I know what a ukulele is. It's Tiny Tim. Did he play ukulele?
He did.
Very
famous.
Through the tulips.
Yep.
Yeah.
So did George Harrison, by the way.
Okay.
Another famous.
That was
one of the Beatles.
He was a Beatle, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I went and looked at ukulele up.
Okay.
Because I didn't know.
Okay.
And this is what the dictionary told me. First of all, it's Hawaiian. The word is Hawaiian.
The word is Hawaiian,
yeah.
But the instrument's not Hawaiian.
Ah.
Tell me what you found out.
Well, it says it's a small guitar-like instrument having 4 strings, and it comes to the word, it's an insect. It's like a flea.
A hopping flea or jumping flea?
Yes, and it says to jump.
Yep, a jumping flea.
So how did we get a musical instrument named after a flea?
Well, as I understand it, it's a Portuguese instrument.
Ah.
And when back in probably the 1700s, 1800s, when people were going to Hawaii, the Portuguese sailors brought it because it's a small instrument. They could take it on the boats and whatever and sing and play. And they brought it to Hawaii, and the Hawaiian people embraced it. And the hopping flea was because their fingers moved so fast. They thought it looked like jumping fleas or hopping fleas or something like that.
So the Hawaiians named it.
Yeah.
When they saw the instrument, that reminds me of a hopping flea.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the Portuguese people called it. But it was maybe a cavahinco or something like that because they have some other instruments like that. But yeah, the Hawaiian people embraced it. And ukulele has gone through, it ebbs and flows in popularity. But it became very popular in Hawaii. They teach it in the schools there.
Well, the thing about it is that it's a kind of unique in a way.
Yeah.
Because the sound of it is different than anything else.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a guitar.
Yeah, and then you think, this little bitty thing that they're holding is making that neat sound like that. Yeah. And then, thinking back, I mentioned Tiny Tim. Of course, most of the audience has no idea who we're talking about. But this was a 70s, in the 70s. Mm-hmm. He was this great big old guy with his long hair.
Greasy, curly.
And very, very high voice. Mm-hmm. And he became popular.
Yeah.
I mean, he got the attention of the whole country. And of course, then he married Miss Vicky.
Yeah, on TV.
Yeah,
on
it was
TV.
all
on Johnny Carson or something.
Yeah, it was just fun. It was a fun thing. But he played it. This big
and we
guy.
play that song, Tiptoe Through the Tulips, which is a 20s song. Yeah, but, you have to.
But you see this big old guy with that long string hair playing that little tiptoe. Yeah. It was entertaining, but it caught the attention of the whole
and
nation.
Popularity surged.
Oh, he did? Yeah.
You know who else played the ukulele? Arthur Godfrey.
Oh, yeah.
Arthur Godfrey played the ukulele, and he was very popular. He had a whole line of his own ukuleles that he put out. But
Now, let's get to know you a little bit.
All right.
You have already told me you've done all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of
stuff. You've been involved in state work, government work, all kinds of stuff. So just kind of give us an overview of you.
The overview? Well, I came to Tallahassee to go to college.
Okay.
and I couldn't land on anything. It seemed like I knew, kind of jack of all trades, master of one. And I would go into some major, and then I would think that I'm not interested in that. And so I got to my junior year, and I didn't have enough credits to graduate as anything. So I got out the catalog, and I said, I got to get out of here. I got one more year. I got to get out of here in 4 years. And I found a degree. I don't think they have it anymore, but back then it was called recreation. They changed it to leisure services and studies, and I went into therapeutic recreation.
Okay.
And it's exactly what you would think it is. You learn how to play games, you learn how to lead groups, you learn how to put on like a baseball tournament, how to do elimination, tournaments, all that kind of stuff. A little bit of art, a little bit of music, a little bit of drama, a little bit of dance. So it fit me perfectly.
All this time that you were in school, you couldn't find out what you needed to do. So they were here, try this.
Yep. So I landed on that. Now, interestingly, I graduated because I told my dad. My dad thought I was nuts. He wanted me to be a nurse, but I couldn't. I didn't have the science background for that, and I just didn't like it. But I said, when I get out of college, I'm going to go work on a cruise ship.
Okay.
And that's going to be my job. I'm going to see the world. I'm going to work on a cruise ship, and I'm going to be the activities
like
director.
Julie on the
on the Love Boat.
On the Love Boat.
Like that. Yeah. That was my dream. But that didn't pan out.
Okay.
Because I met somebody and we got married, and so I ended up being an activities director in a nursing home.
Really? So you actually put the degree to work?
I did. I got a job, and that was the first job I had.
Now, where are you from?
I'm from I'm from Detroit originally.
Okay.
But my dad was in the car business.
Okay.
And he had an opportunity to have a car dealership down in Florida. So in the 60s, we moved down to the Tampa Bay area.
Okay.
And I was about 12 years old.
And so you were looking for a school, and you chose Florida State, I presume.
My dad chose Florida State. I didn't get to choose anything.
Okay.
I had a boyfriend that went to the University of South Florida, and he wanted me as far away from that young man as he could get me. So he sent me up to Tallahassee.
Wisdom of the father.
Father. He sent me up here. But I loved it up here, and I never left Tallahassee.
Really?
I graduated here, met my first husband, and we married, and we had our children here, and I've lived here.
Well.
So my first job was in a nursing home as an activities director. My second job, after my first son was born, I worked for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. Okay. My degree came in handy again because I was interviewing for that job, and the woman who was interviewing me asked me what my degree was in. I had a tendency to tell people my degree was in education because it was in the School of Education.
Right. And it sounded better.
It sounded better than recreation.
Right.
But lo and behold, for whatever reason, I told this woman, well, it's in the School of Education, but my degree is really in recreation.
Okay.
Well, her degree was in recreation too.
Oh, really?
And she hired me on the spot. What are the odds of that? So that got me that job. And I worked for Jerry's kids, for a while. I was the summer camp director. So again, my recreation degree came in handy. We used to have a summer camp.
What happened to the nursing home job?
I moved on.
So you were done with it.
I was done with it.
Okay, so
That's a sad place to work.
Yeah. I mean, it's troubleshooting.
It is. It's a sad place to work, and I had done that gig, and I was ready to move on to something else.
Yeah, but the ministry there is tremendous.
It is.
To be able to talk to people and reach people and give them hope in and
give them something to do. There's a difference between quality of care and quality of life. It's one thing to have your physical needs met, but you got to have something to get up for in the morning.
Yeah.
And that was me.
Yeah.
I had the bingo games, and I brought in the entertainment, and I had the art classes and the knitting group. And
one of my elders in my church had a stroke, and he lived a long time after the stroke, and it progressively got worse. And he was in assisted living, and his wife was with him there for a while, and then she passed away. That was a highlight of his life, that bingo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We, what we played for? Because you have to have a prize.
Yeah. You have a little piece of candy.
Candy? We played for bananas.
Oh, okay. Well, he had
bananas.
All these little pieces of candy up on the TV there in his little room. And,
so that was, I enjoyed working in the nursing home, but that I have a tendency to I'm a collector. Let me put it like that. And I have lots of hobbies, and I jump from hobby to hobby to hobby to hobby. You want to talk about my hobbies? I've had some hobbies in my life. But I kind of did the same thing with jobs. When I was done with a job, I was done. When I was done with muscular dystrophy, I was done.
Okay.
And I had another child, and when I went back to work, I went to work at Southwestern State Hospital up in Thomasville.
Okay.
And I was the art director there. And I can remember I said I'm artistic but not good enough to major in art. I'm musical but not good enough to major in music.
All right.
But I'm pretty good at art, and so I was the art teacher at the Southwestern State Hospital on the child and adolescent unit.
You strike me as the type of person that if I were to hire you for whatever I needed you'd find a way to make it work.
Oh yeah, I'd be all in.
Impression, just listen to you. Yeah.
I'd be all in.
Yeah,
I'd be all in. I'd be the best, whatever it is you hired me for. If you hired me to be the floor sweeper, I'd be the best floor sweeper you ever had. I'd find a better way to sweep that floor.
Something tells me you and I get along just fine.
I think so.
Of course, my name is Jack.
See, you're the jack of all trades. I've always been that way.
I have that tendency to be able to just kind of fit in. In fact, one time I went to a funeral, and I wasn't doing the funeral. I was there. One of my parishioners' father had passed away, and the person who was doing the funeral was well known for doing funerals in this area. Okay, and I had done funerals with him, but I got to the church, and the father, the father who was of the father. I'm going to explain this. It was his father that had died.
Okay, gotcha.
He comes to me. He says, "Pastor," he says, "I hate to ask you this, but the pallbearer, one of the pallbearers didn't show. Would you mind being a pallbearer?" And I said, "Brother, whatever you need, I'd be happy to."
I'm happy to be that.
So now I'm standing there as the minister now has come to lead him, and he looks at me and goes, "Weren't you standing next to me the last time?"
Yeah, who are you?
And he looked at me. He says, "Preachers are just like monkey wrenches, just wherever you need them."
Yep.
So I think that you and I,
kind of like
we get along just fine.
Yeah.
So okay.
So
now,
then later on,
that's 3 jobs.
That's
so far.
3. Yeah. Well, I went to work for had another child. I had 3 boys. So every time I had a baby, I'd stay home for a year or so. Okay. Then I'd go back to work.
Different job.
Try something else. Try something new. So I went back to work for the state. I worked in the food stamp office, and I was the person that answered the food stamp hotline. And that had no training in this whatsoever, but it was the complaint line where people could call to complain they couldn't get their food stamps, or they lost their food stamps, or whatever their deal was. Right. And so I did that for a while, and then I stayed in state government for a while. I went from there to the Medicaid office.
Right. Did you like that job, the food stamp job?
It was kind of a sad job.
Yeah.
It was kind of a sad job, but I liked it because I felt like I could help people. We started a nutrition education project, and they put me in charge of that. So I was in charge of the hotline where people would call to complain. But then we did this project, and we got a government grant to go out and buy VCRs. Remember VCRs back in the day? We bought a bunch of VCRs, and we made up a bunch of nutrition education tapes so that when people were sitting in the food stamp office waiting to talk to their social worker, they had to look at something. Right. And we'd have nutrition tapes playing on the TV screen so they could learn a little bit of something about, don't blow all your food stamps on potato chips and stuff. Right, we had recipes and cooking shows.
Well, now, who
and
came
stuff
up
like
with that idea?
I don't recall. I don't remember if it was my idea or whether my boss had this idea that, hey, there's grant money out there. Let's see if we can get a grant for something.
But do you think this helped?
Let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
We bought all these TVs, and we mounted them way up high, and we thought we had them, bolted down on brackets and stuff. Within about 3 months, every single one of those TVs and VCRs had gotten stolen. So
right in front of you.
Right. Yeah. This was before surveillance cameras and stuff, something like that. So
Oh, no.
So the project, it was a great idea and it could have worked, but it didn't. They do something like that in doctors' offices now. They play those health, tapes and stuff.
The chiropractor that I go to
play something like that.
Well, they all this stuff about your bones and all this kind of stuff. Yeah,
we thought of it.
So the moral of the story is next time bolt the TVs down.
And
the VCR.
Yeah, a little tighter. So I went from there. I kind of, when you're in state government, you kind of go from job. The only way to make more money is to get promoted. So you kind of move from place to place. And after a few years, I was married to my first husband for 15 years, and I was going through divorce, and I said, the only way I'm going to be able to make this work, I'm going to have a better job.
Right.
What's happening here?
I'm that's all right.
It's floating. It's floating up. It's floating.
Just talking about the microphone.
Moving. Yeah, we're talking about the microphone. It's going up to the ceiling. Right. So I applied for a job as the state long-term care ombudsman.
Okay.
Now, my background working in nursing homes came into play because that is a job. They still have a state ombudsman in every state. Every state has one. And it's a program where they go out, they use volunteer people to go out and investigate nursing home complaints.
Okay.
And so I was the director of that for...
Oh, yeah, because you'd been...
I'd been in nursing homes all those years. I knew all the regulations. I knew, I'm boots on the ground. I knew what went on.
I'd probably seen some things.
I'd seen some things. And, I had a whole cadre of volunteers when I worked in the nursing home to come in and do stuff for me, So I'd have students and different volunteers. So it was a pretty good fit for me. And I spent 12 years as the director of that program. We investigated 50, 60,000 complaints a year.
Now, to my radio audience, okay, you're listening to this, and you say, and some people do listen to me every Sunday.
Yeah.
Pastor, this is kind of different because you're talking about something that has nothing to do
with this. We're getting there.
But that's my point. We're getting there because when we start talking about the ukuleles, you'll understand how this all developed for you, because that's why I'm wanting them to hear about your background,
about my background,
and a little bit about your personality.
Right.
So hang with us. We're going to hang
with us. Well, let's jump to that now. Yeah. Let's go back to FSU.
Okay.
Back in 1970 was when I started at FSU, and it had only been a couple of years that they were allowing women to wear pants on campus. You had to wear a dress. That's a long time ago. Now,
but I remember in high school, I was telling somebody just the other day.
Yeah.
Girls were not allowed to wear pants in the high school because I went to Grandparents' Day.
I just went to that too.
Yeah, 4 different grandchildren. So I went to 4 different ones.
Yeah,
and I have more grandchildren than that, but some of them live out of town. So I'm watching all these children running around. They're short, so I guess, man, that wasn't allowed.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, in my high school, there was a guy who came to, he had transferred over to our school from another city. And he came to church or to school. He had long hair and he had on flowery pants. This is the 60s now.
Yeah, 68.
Well,
67. I was there.
Those flowery pants didn't make it, and they made him wear a hairnet.
Oh, wow.
Because of the long hair.
Yeah. Well, that's, that was... you and I, we've already talked. You and I are the same age.
Right.
And so when I came up here, it had only been about 2 years since women were permitted to wear pants on campus. And the rule back then, in 1970, was you could not have an automobile. You couldn't have a car on campus until your junior year. There wasn't enough parking, and stuff. And so the rule was, freshmen and sophomores didn't get to have a car. I wanted a car in the worst way. We talked about this earlier. My dad was a car dealer.
Right.
I always had a car.
Yeah.
I wanted a car. I needed a car. So I thought, how am I going to get around this no car until I'm a junior?
All right.
Well, somebody told me that if you're in a sorority, the sororities have a parking lot.
Okay.
And if you're in a sorority and you live in the sorority house, you can have a car. You can't drive it on campus, but you can park it in the parking lot and you can have a car. And I said, I need to pledge a sorority. That's what I need to do.
Everybody has their motivation.
Everybody's got their motivation. I wasn't really the sorority girl type, but I thought, this could be good. You can live close to campus. You can walk to class. I can have my car.
Right.
And they have cooks, so you eat your food there and everything. Greek life wasn't real popular then. It was the hippie years. It was the long hair, about whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And I wasn't really the cheerleader, sorority girl type. But I thought, well, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go through Rush. And I got another girl. I was living in Jenny Murphy Hall, was a dormitory on campus. And I talked another girl into, I said, will you go to the sorority rush parties with me?
Right.
And she said, I'm not going to pledge a sorority, but I'll go with you.
Okay.
So we started going to the rush parties, and we went to this one, And it was and they used to serve like, punch and cookies, something like that. But I always have some kind of a theme, maybe some kind of theme party. This one, punch and cookies, and they had a little jug band. And these girls were wearing red and white checkered shirts. They had their hair in pigtails. They were wearing overalls, denim overalls, barefooted, and they had a row of ukuleles across the back. They had a gut bucket. You know what a gut bucket is?
No.
Gut bucket is a wash tub, a galvanized wash tub turned upside down with a rope coming out the center and a broomstick, and it's like a bass.
Right.
You play the bass. You move the broom back and forth. You play. So they had a gut bucket, a row of ukuleles in the back, and then all the percussion was across the front. They had a washboard, some spoons, tambourine, castanets, maracas. Those girls all sat across the front.
I can't believe this. This was at Florida State University.
At Florida State University, the Zeta Tau Alpha House on College Avenue. It's still there. It was called the Zeta Pickers. When I saw those girls playing those songs, Good Old Mountain Dew, Salty Dog, Old Jim Folsom, I said, I got to learn how to play the ukulele. I want to be in the, I'm going to pledge this. This is the one.
Really?
Because I want to be in that band.
Right.
Did I have a ukulele? No. Did I know how to play a ukulele? No.
But that never.
But that didn't stop me.
That type of thing would not stop you.
No.
What you described.
Nah, it didn't stop me. I said, I can learn. I can do that.
Right.
And sure enough, I pledged, and I got my mom and dad to buy me a ukulele, and I was in the Zeta Pickers, and we did real similar to what the uke jammers do. We had a repertoire of about 24 songs.
Okay.
And we learned them all by heart. And probably had 2 or 3 chords per song, something like that. They weren't very hard. And we would go around town and we would play for, do you remember Sunnyland? Sunland? It was over there on Phillips Road.
Yeah.
We would go over there and we play for the
So it was still open in 1970?
Yeah, it sure was.
It
sure was. We'd go over there and play. We'd go to schools, and we'd go to mostly nursing homes and assisted living. That kind of thing.
So did you always wear the costume?
We always wore that costume.
Really?
We always wore that costume. Okay. I should have brought pictures. So when I graduated college, I don't even know what happened to that ukulele. It got thrown in the back of a closet. I never thought about it again. I never played it again. Never touched it again. And then later on, fast forward about, 15 years ago or so, my husband's parents were living with us, his mother and his father.
Okay.
His mother had a stroke. She passed away. So his father was living with us. And he got Alzheimer's.
Okay.
Runs in his family. He got Alzheimer's, and he gradually lost the ability to do pretty much everything. That's a horrible disease that just takes away your soul. It takes away everything. But he gradually lost the ability to speak.
Okay.
And he loved to dance. That was a man who loved to dance more than anything. He'd be in the grocery store and he'd be dancing down the aisle to the music, He just loved to dance, and he loved music. And so at night, we'd go in his room and we'd put Lawrence Welk on, and he'd listen to Lawrence Welk and whatever. And I noticed one day when I walked past his room, I could hear him singing in there.
Huh.
And I said, Pat, that's my husband. I said, Pat, I said, do you know that your dad can sing? I said, he can't talk. He couldn't even say, he might have been able to say yes and no, but he had lost his ability to speak, but he sure could sing. And I said, back when I was in college, I used to play the ukulele, and I'll bet if I got one, I could play some simple songs for him, and we could sing.
Right.
So about that time, we were out yard sailing, which is another passion of mine. I'm an avid thrift store / yard sailor. Come across an old baritone ukulele for $5. And I said, I'm going to get this ukulele, and I'm going to go online because I'll bet I can get songs. I can get the lyrics and the chords. And I said, I'll bet I can play this thing. It's been 30 years, 40 years, something like that since I'd played. But I said, it'll come back to me. It's like riding a bike. It'll come back to me. So I got that ukulele. I started a little notebook. I downloaded songs I thought he would know. Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Let Me Call You Sweetheart. Oh, Susanna. I've Been Working on the Railroad.
Right.
And we'd go in there every day, and I'd play my ukulele, and we would sing with him until he gradually lost the ability to sing.
It went well.
It went well, and I realized how much I enjoyed it, that I had missed it. You know, I enjoyed playing the ukulele. So I was at work one day. At this point, now I'm working in the Medicaid office. I'm the hospice policy analyst, writing policy handbooks for Medicaid. And I'm talking to a girlfriend of mine, and she said, you know, I saw in the paper, I saw in the Limelight, they've got a group that meets every Sunday over at Finnegan's Wake to play the ukulele. Okay. You ought to go check it out. Okay. And I'm like, nah, I'm not good enough to do that. And she said, nah, you just go and see what it's about. Right. Find some people to play with. So I went, and it was the Tallahassee Uke Jammers. And that's how we circle around to where we are now. So I joined that group.
But you told me, and this was a Sunday night when I saw you down at the church down there, that the Tallahassee Uke Jammers, of course, it was already in existence when you found it.
It was. And
it has its history where they would sing outside. They sat around a table somewhere.
There's a woman who's here in town. I don't know what her background is, but she's very musical. She plays the piano. She plays lots of musical instruments. She plays the ukulele. Her name is Pam Shank, and Pam had a group of people that met over at Lake Ella, just to play music, and that's who started it. Pam started it.
How long did that last? That they did that
at Lake Ella?
Yeah,
I'm not really sure. Maybe a year or two, something like that. And then other people joined in. Then they looked for a more permanent place to play.
Now, what year would that have been? Because I'm trying to place this.
See.
Lake Ella has changed a lot.
What year is it now? It is 2024. I've been with the Uke Jammers since about 2012.
Okay.
They probably started back in 2008 or 9.
Okay, so it was something like that. It was pretty much like Lake Ella is now. Since they redid the lake and all that.
Yeah, they'd go, they have those little shelters there with a picnic table underneath. They'd gather over there, sit at the picnic table. They had a guy that played the djembe drum.
Okay.
You know, a drum is like it's kind of like a bongo, but it's a round thing. And his name is Marshall Sherman. He was a furniture refinisher. And he was one of the ones that would play. He would bring his drum.
They're there. What would it be, like a Sunday or a Saturday?
Yeah, just in the afternoon. I don't know if that was even real regular. It was Sunday afternoon, I think.
People would gather around.
People gather around, sing with them.
Yeah, because there's always people walking. Yeah, because they walk around the lake there. Yeah. So there's just kind of a place where people go to get a little exercise.
Yeah. So then they looked for a more permanent place that maybe was out of the weather a little bit. And they started, I don't know what made them choose Finnegan's Wake, or maybe somebody knew somebody who knew somebody.
I don't know. That was kind of like a little restaurant or a bar or what?
Yeah, it's over there at Midtown. And it's still there. It's a little like an Irish pub kind of thing, but they had an outdoor area that was covered. Okay. And they had tables out there, and they said, yeah, y'all can sit out there at the tables and you can play out there. So that's where it was when I started going.
That's where you found it. Mm-hmm. And so now.
And then Pam moved on to other things. What happened there was they were having a luau at the senior center. And, luau, ukuleles, that kind of meshes. And they contacted her and said, could you put together a group of your ukulele people to come and play for our luau?
Okay.
And so she did, and we did. And what they wanted her to do, they have a thing there that's like a learning week or something. They still have it now. There's like a week where they have classes and stuff at the senior center.
The old armory.
At the old armory. Yeah. And they said, could you give a little class first? And she said, sure, I could give a little class. So they told the people, if you've got a ukulele in your closet, bring it.
Okay.
And Pam asked us, she said, anybody that's got a couple of extra ukuleles that you don't mind somebody borrowing, bring them, and we're going to have a little class. And she made some great big posters, and she had an easel up there, taught them some simple chords, and at the end of her little class, which was probably 10 minutes or something like that, we played a little 2-chord song with these people with the ukuleles, and they liked it so much, they asked her to come there and teach a weekly class. And so she kind of left the Uke Jammers and started teaching ukulele at the senior center, which she did for a number of years. She had
Really?
a beginner, intermediate, advanced finger-picking class or whatever. So she left the Uke Jammers, and another guy took it over who'd been with it for a while. And he's still around town, too, named Tommy Ewart.
Okay.
And Tommy Ewart took over the Uke Jammers, and he was the leader of it for a while. And then he started his own little band. He was also a guitar player, and he started a band, and he kind of lost interest in the ukulele group, and it was kind of floundering. And I didn't really want to be the leader, but I have that gene, I think.
Right. And you fit in.
And I loved it. I didn't want it to die out. I didn't want, it was, by that time the group had grown to a pretty good size, and I didn't want it to just fall apart, and so I took it over. So that was probably in about 2015 or something like that.
So you've been doing about 9 years now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've moved around since then. Finnegan's Wake started not working out, and we moved to Momo's Pizza, and we played at Momo's for a while, and then they put in a bunch of TV sets because they wanted to be more of a sport bar kind of thing. So we moved from there over to La Fiesta restaurant on Appalachian Parkway. We played there for a good year or two.
Yeah.
And then we moved from there somewhere else. We landed in a nursing home assisted living facility on Mahan Drive.
Okay.
It was the Tapestry.
Yeah,
it's not there anymore. It closed down during COVID.
Okay.
But they gave us a room to play, and we've always played on Sunday afternoons. It's always been a Sunday afternoon thing.
This was an old hotel.
It was, and then
Garden Inn.
Yep. You know, the ones on the corner of.
It's across from the Antique Car Museum.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And they gave us a room to play there, and we were there for maybe a year or so. Every Sunday afternoon, that's where we'd play, and then we got romanced away by the assisted living facility down the road called Your Life. And it's a memory care facility. And
Is that the new one on the right-hand side?
Yeah, it's newish. Yeah. So they gave us a place to play. They bribed us away with punch and cookies or something. Something like that. Something like we had played there, we had entertained there. People call us, people find out about us and call us. And that gal found me because I used to live over on Walden Road. And I was having a yard sale. And I was sitting out in my driveway, and I had my ukulele, because having a yard sale is kind of boring. So I had my ukulele on my lap, and I was practicing some songs. And she came up and she said, "Oh, you know what? I'm the activities director over at Your Life over here. Could you come and play?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I got a group. We can come and play." And so we went and played, and they loved us there. And she said, "We would love for you to be a regular weekly thing here." Okay. And I said, "Well, we're a regular weekly thing over here." Right. And she said, "Yeah, but we'll give you a bunch of cookies." Yeah, we'll give you a bunch of cookies.
and that goes back to your sorority days.
It does.
So that was kind of romantic.
I said, I'm in. I'll take the punch and cookies. And so we moved over there, and we played there every Sunday until COVID, and they closed everything down. And so when COVID hit, and they closed the assisted living facility, I still didn't want it to die out, but everybody was so panicky and wearing their masks and not wanting to socially distance.
But me.
So everybody was really trying to, avoid crowds and all that kind of stuff. So we took to Zoom. Oh. We took our group to Zoom.
Ooh, high tech now.
Yeah, high tech, yeah. So once a week, we stuck with our Sundays, and every Sunday afternoon, we'd do a little thing on Zoom. Now, if you know anything about Zoom,
not too much.
Okay, well, it's not a really good. It's not a good platform, or whatever you want to call it, for a bunch of people talking or singing or anything at the same time, because only one person can speak at a time.
Yeah.
Everybody else gets muted out. Okay. And so it didn't really work. So for that,
but it got you through.
It got us through those times. I would lead, and we would pick the songs, and everybody else was muted. I could see on the screen. It was kind of like, what was that show? Hollywood Squares. Remember Hollywood Squares, where everybody had their square up on the screen? Right. Well, it's kind of like that. Yeah. I could see everybody in their little square on my screen. They were all muted. I could see that they were singing along with me, but I was singing. They were at home in the comfort of their homes, playing and singing.
Right.
And so we kept it alive
But
during
you
COVID.
preserved the group.
Yeah,
and you
preserved the group
got
for
through
a couple years.
difficult time, yeah.
Yeah, and then when things started to open up again, we started meeting at the Greenway on Miccosukee Road. You know, the Greenway where they got horse trails and bike trails and parks and stuff. It's all along Miccosukee Road, out Capitol Circle, out all the way almost to my house.
Okay.
And they've got some little places there that are like parking lots, and they've got like bathrooms. They've got
Okay, so this wasn't a restaurant. This is
no, we were outside.
back outside again.
We were outside.
Back to your roots.
I had a pop-up thing, pop-up canopy, and I'd throw that in my car, and we'd go over there, and we had bathrooms because they had a little bathroom facility there, and so everybody brought a folding chair, and we sat under the tent and we played until it got too hot, and then I said, we got to find some place.
During all this time, were you going out and doing events like you did the night that I found you?
We've always done that. During COVID, that pretty much dried up. The last thing we played, I'm going to push this down again. Yeah. This is the craziest microphone. It just kind of
keeps rising.
It kind of rises up. I'm going to push it down so I can see your face. The last place we played at the Second Harvest. What did they call that? It was like Blue Jeans and Blazers. It was their big fundraising thing. And it was in their big building, their big warehouse building, and we played over there. And there were hundreds of people that came through there that night for that fundraiser. Let
me describe to the audience what I saw. When I walked in the door, they were singing out at the United Methodist Church in Woodville. And they have a second Sunday night of the month sing, and they were invited to come. And now you all don't always or usually play religious music, but you'd adapted.
We had adapted our songbook.
I walked in, and here was right across the front of the platform. Actually, in front of the platform, there was this group of people, and they were my age, older people, and they all got these little. And I didn't know because I had misunderstood when they announced who was coming, and I thought it was a group of young people. Youth, right.
Youth.
Right.
I can understand your confusion.
And here's these older people sitting there playing their little ukuleles. And I'm type I like music, and so this sounds fun. And then I saw your husband, and he's sitting there with his ukulele, and he's got a washboard around his neck, or over his neck.
He's our percussionist.
Yeah, and then so this looks like fun, and it was. And they just played. They played a lot of different hymns and stuff like that. And it was kind of
a little bit of Bob Dylan.
Yeah, and you, as a leader, you'd say, "Okay, this is what we're going to play next." And sometimes you might explain a little something about the song, and then
off we'd go.
And then behind you had a bass player,
we do. We have a stand-up bass player, and we have a fiddle player.
And they play with you when you go.
They do. Okay. They're permanent members of the Uke Jammers.
And how does that fit? I mean, they're not ukuleles.
They're not ukuleles, but if you know anything about music, you got to have something to kind of anchor you down and keep the beat. A lot of times it'll be a drummer,
right?
But a bass player makes us sound way better than we are.
But why?
It's all about the bass.
But why would they want to be a part of you all? Because they play a lot of places, right?
That's true. Yeah.
They do.
Yeah, Mike, our bass player, he's in a kind of a jazz ensemble. I don't know what you'd call it. It's a trio. Him and a guitar guy and another guitar guy. I think two guitar. He's good. He's a retired dentist, and he decided he wanted to learn how to play the bass, and so he went out and bought one.
This is the whole point of the whole thing: is you had people there who were just having fun. That's what it's all about.
They
were just having a good time.
We are a social group, first and foremost, and mostly retired professionals who like to play the ukulele. Bo Lawrence, who's the fiddle player, he's probably played with everybody in town. He knows everybody. He's played with everybody. He's been with a bunch of different bands. He just likes to play music. So any group that meets regularly that plays music, Bo is there.
Yeah, but
so he likes playing with us, and we give him a lot of opportunity to take a little musical interlude. He does our musical breaks, and he's excellent. He's an awesome musician.
I see this around town quite often. Musicians who they don't have the desire to go to Nashville, that sort of thing.
No,
they just love to play,
just
and they
wanna
love
play
the
some
music. And for what you told me, a lot of people who are playing the ukuleles, they didn't know how to play ukulele when they come and join.
No, they didn't.
And you
and we still take in beginners. We had a guy show up after the second Sunday sing that we just did. He was in the audience. He came up afterwards, and he said, when do y'all meet? I'd like to come out. And I said, well, do you play the ukulele? He said, no. He said, but I like to sing. Yeah. And I said, oh, well, come on out. So he came on Sunday and he had a real good time. He came up afterwards. He says, I'm going to buy a ukulele. I'm going to learn how to play.
So he didn't bring a ukulele.
He didn't have one.
So he just came to sing.
He came to sing. Yeah, he came to sing.
But for what you told me, you can do this with just a few chords.
Yeah.
I tried 2 or 3 times in my life. I've attempted to try to learn to play a guitar. I've always wanted to play a guitar. I've never mastered it, but I know enough about it, about the chords. Now, I got to where I mastered the chords. That wasn't my problem. My problem was the strumming. I just could not get the strumming down.
Yeah. It's like it's like juggling, it's like keeping a lot of balls in the air.
I guess.
And it is kind of tricky because you got to strum.
Right.
And you got to sing.
Right.
And you got to change chords. And, you got to keep with everybody else.
And you got to like music.
And you got to like music.
And like me, I like instruments.
Yeah.
Now,
we got some people that play the ukulele. They don't particularly like to sing. Maybe they don't have the best singing voices, but they come and, they want to come and play. Yeah.
Well, that's
we don't turn anybody away.
We talk about gospel music because I'm a big gospel music lover. And I love the instruments. And I picked out a song for us because I felt like that this would kind of go along with the conversation.
Okay, if I like the song.
Yeah, this song's got a lot of instruments in it. It's a
Peppy.
New Gospel Singing Caravan, and the name of the song is Crown Him.
Crown him, crown him, crown him, crown him, King forever, evermore.
I could see you all.
That is a great song. I need to write that one down. I can hear the bass in the back. That would be a great song for our bass player. I could hear the percussion. Great song.
And there might have been a ukulele in there. We just didn't know.
Might have been. No, that's a great peppy song. That's just the kind of song that I would pick.
But that's the impression that I got when I walked in there. Y'all were singing these songs, and everybody's strumming on these little things, and some of them had these real intense looks on their face, like they were really getting into what they were doing.
Yeah, some of them are very serious about it. We try to have fun, but when we go out to play, some of them get a little bit of butterflies, and they they want to stare at their music because they're afraid they're going to forget the words
because
or something.
They're not professionals.
No, we're not professional musicians,
but they're having a good time.
We sound pretty good though.
Let me tell the audience, this is the Gospel on the Radio talk show. I'm Pastor Jack King. Barbara Hengstebeck. No.
Blew it second time around.
You do it.
Try again. Hengstebeck.
Yeah. I knew I'd mess it up somewhere along the line, but
now anyway. I just want to say that the group that you saw down in Woodville, that's only about a third of our group. Wow. Yeah, they told us they were kind of tight for space and try to keep the group small. So I think there were 13 or 14 of us playing, but that was space. That was space. Now, we played at the Quincy Porch Fest this year, and there were 25 of us.
Quincy
Porch Fest.
Porch Fest.
They have that every spring, and they have, local musicians or whatever playing on the porches of people who live in Quincy.
Really?
It's in the downtown area, and they have food trucks, and they have craft, craft tents or whatever. Oh, yeah, it's every year. Huh. And we got invited to play, and we were playing on the porch of the McFarland House, which is an old turn-of-the-century home there with a great big front porch. But even that great big front porch, it was tight with 25 of us up there. We filled it up with 25 people. For the past 10 years, we have played at the Camellia Festival at McClay Gardens.
Really?
Which is at Christmas time. Yeah. It's always the first Friday of
Christmas
December.
Music.
Christmas carols. We love Christmas music.
Now let's announce this now.
Okay, it's the Camellia Festival.
And what is the date?
It's the first Friday of December. So
first Friday.
Yep.
Of December. I have a calendar right here.
So whatever day that is.
Okay, first Friday of December. Just keep talking about.
Okay, so So that one is a Christmas gig for us, and we love to play there because we love Christmas tunes. They lend themselves really well to the ukulele, and they have usually cider, cookies, donuts, and you can walk through the gardens because the camellias are blooming.
Yeah,
and they have it decorated up for Christmas. So
all right, I finally found December. Now, what is it? The first
Friday?
First Friday of December. That would be the 6th.
December 6th this year.
December 6th.
Okay. Last year it was more like the 1st or the 2nd. It was early.
Yeah,
but December 6th.
Yeah, the Sunday is the 1st.
Okay, so it's the following Friday. So it'll be December 6th, and we usually are the first people to play. We like to play it at. So we usually play from 6 to 7. Under the gazebo that's right there by the visitor center.
At McClay Gardens.
At McClay Gardens. Okay. Yeah. Well, then so that's kind of we do that every year. We've done it every year for the past 10 years.
That's an announcement for your audience.
Yeah.
December the 6th, around 6 o'clock or so, the Tallahassee Uke
Jammers come out
and you can see what they do.
And listen to some Christmas carols.
Let me tell you this. We've got an event going on. I pastor Freedom Road Christian Ministry. It's the church I pastor. And we're going to start on the 28th of September showing the Kendrick Brothers movies. These are the movies that the church in Albany, Georgia. Mm-hmm. And it'll be a Flywheel. The name of the movie is Flywheel. We're going to start at 5:30 p.m. And we're going to do this every month. And then we're going to break in December, and then we'll pick up in January. Mm-hmm. These are really nice films, Christian films, and you'll enjoy it. So I'm inviting you to come out and enjoy that. We'll have a little break in the middle. We'll have a little refreshments, a little time of fellowship. 720 Capitol Circle Northeast. You can check our website, frcm.us. Also, you can find this show and all the talk shows and all the daily broadcasts on podcast. This is show number 1193. If you want to listen to this again, share it with a friend. Type in Pastor Jack King Tallahassee on your podcast app, and you can find it there. Also, don't forget to tune in every Saturday night for the Saturday Night Gospel Sing full hour of the best music on the planet. That's my opinion.
There you go.
But I love it, and I love sharing it with you. We just did, not this last, actually, I just did show number 501. 500 and was last Saturday night was a 500th
That's a lot of
show.
500.
And my son came in, and he did a little question and answer type thing, helped me go through the show. First time I've ever had a guest on the music show, but that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
So we were able to do that. So anyway, check all that out. And then, of course, join us every Sunday morning here on 94.1 with the Gospel on the Radio talk show. And you'll hear shows like Sister Barbara here that's come along. And I tell you what, you got a lot going on in your life. And you've done a lot of stuff, but you love the ukuleles and you love what you're doing.
I do.
And if somebody wanted you to come and bring the group, what would they do? Just call you?
Yeah, give me a call. Yeah, we have a Facebook page. If you forget my name or forget how to get in touch with me, it's the Tallahassee Uke Jammers. Just go on Facebook and search that, and our page will come up, and you can send me a message that way.
So it sounded to me like you would go just about anywhere. So let's just say, where would you not go?
Where would we not go? I don't know. That's, I'm speechless, which is unusual for me.
Yeah.
We've very rarely turned down a gig. I mean, we don't play like in bars or anything like that.
Okay, well, that's something good to know. Yeah.
We wouldn't do that. But we've played in preschools.
Okay.
A lot of assisted living facilities. In a couple weeks, we're going to play up in Ocklackney, Georgia, for the Pines and Palms Paint Out.
Ocklackney, Georgia.
Ocklackney. It's up near Cairo.
Okay.
It's up near
So
Cairo.
everybody in your group, they travel at their own expense?
Yeah, they travel at their own expense, and some people don't want to drive. So, I always, if somebody calls me and asks me to play, got a call the other day from Mulligan Park. It's an assisted living facility over off of, I think they're off of Fleischman. Or are they the one off Hermitage? Oh, they're the one off Hermitage. Okay. And they want us to come and play for their residents' Halloween party.
Okay.
And so I always have to ask the group because I'm not going to play by myself.
Right.
I want to make sure that I've got at least 8 people that are going to play. And I'll turn down a gig if the bass player can't play.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, you got to have the bass
Gotta
player.
it's all about the bass. You got to have the bass player.
Wow, now you only have
So,
one.
We only have one.
So that does limit you somewhat.
Yeah.
'Cause
But
I mean-
he likes to play, so he rarely turns down a gig unless he's sick or something. He's
Yeah.
going to play.
Is he retired? Where he's
Yeah, he's a
freed up?
retired dentist.
Okay, so
yeah,
he's got
he's
time.
free. He's got time to play.
like that.
I really like for the fiddle player to play too. I think
Yeah.
that adds a
And
lot
he
to
is
the group.
very good.
And the washboard player. I mean, we can throw 8 ukuleles, 10 ukuleles, 20 ukuleles,
Right.
or whatever, because we're all playing the same thing. But those 3 positions are kind of key. You got the bass player holding us down there, and the washboard player keeping the beat, and
Right.
and he's kind of comic relief because he's in the front. My husband is a character. I got to tell you,
He is.
He's a character. He's very hard of hearing,
Oh, really?
but he can keep but he's musical,
Right.
and he likes music,
Yeah.
and he likes all these old songs that we play, plus the 50s and 60s
Well, I'll
and
tell you
70s.
something,
But he can really keep the beat on that washboard.
He just watching him because he was funny. I didn't know he was your husband.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah, but hee haw. He would have fit in in hee haw.
Yeah.
Just
he would.
He had just
He
been
would.
part of the group out there. I could just see him out there in the cornfield.
Yeah, that'd be him.
Yeah.
He's got a bad knee, so he's got to get up.
Yeah.
Periodically because his knee gets stiff. So
Right.
he gets up and walks around through the audience. And, I don't know that they probably don't realize he's getting up because his knee's gotten stiff, but, he goes out and walks
he
around the
got up
audience.
because his wife told him. Now I didn't know you were his wife, but
you thought I was just
should have-
bossing him
I
around.
should have guessed it. I've been married for 46 years. I know what that's all about.
You know what that looks like. Yeah, you should have put that 2 and 2 together.
But it
yeah.
was just, to me, it was just all part of the show.
Yeah.
And it's just, everything was just entertaining.
Yeah.
And the people who were there, they were loving it.
Yeah.
They were loving it.
Yeah.
They're loving the different songs and stuff. And I think there were some people who invited you to come someplace and play.
Yeah, we've got some invitations out of that.
And she wants you to come back. Are you coming back for Christmas?
If we get invited for Christmas, we'll come down. We love to play Christmas songs.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
I'd love to be there. But
Okay.
And that takes me back. We announced a few minutes ago at McClay Gardens.
Yeah.
And because people come and go on radio.
Camille
the
Christmas.
6th of December, they're gonna be playing Christmas music that
Yeah.
night.
And there'll be a lot of other people after us.
Yeah.
We're like the first group, but they have music playing all night long. And tours of the gardens and stuff. It's a nice little event.
I'd
It's
like
a nice
to go
little,
that.
yeah.
I'm not going to tell you I will, but it may work out.
Yeah.
And because December, you know how December is.
Last year it was pouring rain.
Oh, no.
It was pouring rain, and we went back and forth. Well, because McClay Gardens was trying to decide if they were going to cancel.
Oh no.
And they were canceling. They weren't canceling. They were canceling. So it was kind of last minute, and they decided, let's go ahead and have it. Yeah. And it rained for some of it, but we were under a shelter. And,
that's what I was going to ask.
And people
you,
came out. They still had a good crowd. They still had a good crowd. Yeah.
I tell you what, I hate canceling anything. I'll do everything. I just
and it's hard. They didn't have any time to reschedule.
Yeah.
It would have been a definite cancel, and that's why they waited till the very last minute to make a decision because
That'd
they had no other time to do it. It's not like they could push it to the following weekend.
Right.
They didn't have a spot for it.
I've had things where people pressured me, say, "You got to call this." I said,
let's wait. Let's don't call it.
Hang in there.
Yeah.
I know. I used to do an event called Sunfest, which is a big youth conference I used to do. Twice I had to cancel because of hurricanes.
Yeah,
and I did.
Tough.
And I was trying to hold off, and then people said, "No, you got to consider the people who are coming. They need to stay home, take care of their families." And so you're making me feel guilty here. So I had to call them off, but I hated it because you're right. You don't just reschedule something like that.
No.
And then we'd generally reschedule the next weekend, but we'd lose like half the people.
Well, you remember Hurricane Michael that came through not too many years ago. Panama City's got a big ukulele club, and they were putting on a ukulele festival, and people were coming from all over the place, and they had some pretty big name performers that were going to perform, and they had workshops set up with people and stuff. And, Hurricane Michael was coming along, and they couldn't decide, and they couldn't decide, and they couldn't decide. And this thing was supposed to start on Friday. They finally decided, like on Wednesday, that they were going to cancel. And it's a good darn thing they did, because the place where the festival was going to take place was the marina that was right there on Thomas Avenue, and it got destroyed by
Panama
Hurricane
City got
Michael.
hit hard
Panama
with
City
that.
got
Yeah.
hit hard, and
I think they made the right choice.
they made the right choice. It was a long time coming, but yeah, they made the right choice.
But I would be like them too. I'd be
Yeah.
yes, if we can hang in here.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that you plan and you plan and you plan, and then you have to cancel this thing off, and then you can't do it again, or you can't pull it in. And I can remember things back when I was a kid where they'd had to cancel something. And to this day, I'm disappointed.
I know. Yeah. I almost got to go to that ukulele festival. Almost did, but they canceled it.
Yeah. So I'm with you on that. But the thing is that you all love to go. So can I say to the radio audience that if you would like to have them go?
Yeah, give me a call.
Well, how they get in touch with you?
Well, the best way is to go on the Facebook page and send me a message.
Okay.
I can leave my phone number with you. They'll have them call you. They call you, you call me.
They do.
Okay.
They do that
yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah. You can pass that along to them. And if there's anybody out there that is a ukulele player. Now we're pretty welcoming.
Okay.
But the ukulele is not a very loud instrument. And so although we have a bass player and we have a fiddle player and we actually have a concertina player who didn't come to that gig, and we have a harmonica player who's not always with us either, but we have a harmonica player. We don't welcome like mandolins and banjos and guitars because they drown out the ukulele.
It's a different type of instrument. Yeah.
It's a different type of instrument.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of music, and they drown us out, and we're all just acoustic.
Yeah.
We're not plugged into an amplifier or anything. And so if you play the ukulele and want to join us, give me a call.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
No, I love the mandolin, but you're right. It's a different type of instrument.
It's a different kind of instrument. It kind of drowns us out.
Yeah.
So, we try to keep it, keep the purity of the ukuleles. And
that's what I tell them on my music show. I love the banjo, the fiddle, and the mandolin.
I love all that.
And the steel guitar.
Yeah.
and those kind of instruments really appeal to me. But I like the ukulele. To me, it's kind of has a cute little sound to it.
Yeah,
it's kind of like the David and the Giant type thing. There's a little David. He's trying to get
there's all different sizes of ukulele.
Really?
I mean, they're not just one size. There's a soprano, which is the small one.
Okay.
And then the next one up is concert, which is the size I play. And then the next one up is tenor.
Yeah.
And most of the people in the uke jammers play tenors.
Oh, really?
And then there's baritone, which is a different chord.
Okay.
Different chord. It's a different tuning. And that's one I learned on was a baritone, which is more like a guitar.
When you bought the one at the garage sale,
it was a baritone.
You said that. You said that, and I wondered about that. So,
Yeah.
so every ukulele that I bought,
I walked into the uke jammers the first time over at Finnegan's Wake with my baritone in hand and looked around, and there wasn't a single baritone player
Really?
in the group, not a one.
So how would
now
you
we've
know?
got one now. I switched over to the chord shapes are the same. It's just that they're tuned differently, and so what's a G on one is a C on the other one. So it's real easy to relearn on another size. We have two baritone players in the uke jammers, but everybody else plays a tenor
Let
or
me
a
just
concert.
break in here because we got about.
We got to go. Okay,
And we always
wrap it up.
close our broadcast out with prayer.
All righty.
Father, I thank you, Lord, for this wonderful time that we've had, just talking about music, talking about ukuleles, and just talking about things that we can do to bless people. And that's what they do, and that's ministry. And I thank you, Father, for these. And I pray, God, you just bless them wherever they go, Lord. Just use them for your glory and for your praise. And Father, we just pray over our city. We pray, God, for peace in this world. We pray, Father, for our churches, our pastors. And Father, I pray for peace in this world. And I pray for peace in the city of Jerusalem and the nation of Israel. I pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
It's been fun.
It has been fun. Thanks for inviting me.
And I don't think I have ever actually done research for a show before.
Yeah?
When I went and looked up.
Until today?
Because generally, like I say, people, they tell me what we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about your passion.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to go research because you're going to tell me everything. But I want to know about the ukulele.
Well, I'll come back sometime because I have more passions. I like dogs.
Okay.
I have pet tortoises.
But right now, until next Sunday morning, may the Lord bless you.